Back when I was 16, I was finishing up with school, and I didn't really have any idea, as most of us do when we are ready to leave school, about what I wanted to do. So I had a family friend that had a painting business and offered me some work to keep me busy, and I took to it pretty easily. It was quite nice being out in the sun as a young guy, listening to the radio, making some, whatever it was at the time, being houses or commercial jobs, bringing them up to a standard that, it made you feel good as a young guy. So, yeah, I stuck with it. As far as WA goes, the apprenticeship at the time was a 4-year apprenticeship, and it really was. It was just an opportunity to get a qualification under my belt, make it official. It was something I wanted to stick with. So at the time, there was good government incentives and organisations around to help through at that time. And as far as I'm aware, the industry has gotten better at it. There's probably a lot more assistance out there as far as governing bodies and the likes of TAFEs and training as providers go. So yeah. To end up with Higgins, I've worked in some big businesses, some small businesses, and I basically saw an advertisement one day, Higgins in Perth were looking for some painters. So I thought I'd try my luck, and I was successful. It's one of those companies that stood out to me at the time, being a big established business. Did a bit of research and found that, Higgins has been operating for now 71 years. And I thought, as a starting point, entering into those big commercial businesses, that's a fantastic opportunity to be with a company that's been such a long-standing family-owned business. Expectation-wise, when I entered into the business and doing the research into the broader Higgins business, I did. The workplace health and safety for me was a big priority. And Higgins fit the bill in that respect. As far as the business structure goes, having the likes of your leading hands, foremans, project managers, and from there up, the infrastructure within the business was something I was really looking forward to collaborating with. And everything I'd read, the structure was in place. So it was really important for me to be a part of a business that's got a solid structure and good health and safety practices. From my perspective, it was a very collaborative approach. I mean, there's been so many different skills that I've acquired throughout my time and qualifications. From the moment I got off the tools, it was more about identifying any gaps in training and development. Within my first 6 months, I did a refresher of a EWP course that was identified for me personally that it was coming up to out of date. Senior first aid course that was identified as I was doing a lot of work with a small team at the time, and there was, for example, no one to cover the first aid aspect. So I'll put my hand up for that. I was under the branch management of a gentleman who's still within the business, Andrew Plungers, and he pulled me aside one day and talked to me about my skills from his perspective around communication, organisation, and it's something I never really thought twice about. But the business and Andrew had identified it within myself, and that was the first stepping stone. And it's evident to me now why that's so important within all roles within the business. But it was more about an individual identifying some skill sets in myself that I didn't necessarily identify. And it was fostered from one individual to many that potentially, certain skills were missing. I had certain skills that could be fostered, and it escalated from there. Obviously, knowing yourself, Ralph, from that period, my skill set just began to grow. It was coached from all different people within the business, and has grown to what it is today. Yeah, so obviously the fundamentals of the role first, stepping into the office doing project management, it was more about adapting a learning outcome to what my style of learning, which is very hands-on. So throughout a period of time, if I recall, was a good 6-month period of a plan tailored to me, and different individuals within the business. And you correctly asked the question, was it supportive? Absolutely. What we do well as a business, in my opinion, is identify leaders in their field, whether that's estimating, project management, sales. We identify integral people in those parts of the business, and use them to apply the training throughout the business. It's learning on the job. That's how I learned best. And it was, very much supported and tailored throughout that process. I entered the office, I suppose you'd say, within Higgins as project manager, and the stepping stones I took naturally led to more of a sales role. I was managing a lot of national projects at the time, and as much as the operational side of the business I do enjoy, but to take my development to that next level of utilising my skill set within painting, but doing something completely different, was a business development role. It was completely different, but all the same at the same time. So a little bit of a sidestep there, which is why I've ended up in a branch management position. There's a lot of differences. On the tools, you've got the opportunity to, take summer, for example. You're painting in summer, you want to start as soon as possible throughout the day. And I've somewhat stuck with that aspect of flexibility with the business, is starting early. There's a lot of organisation, time management, more so in a managerial role than on the tools. There's a lot more diplomacy that goes along with it as well. So it's a lot more reactive, very much so. I couldn't agree with that more. It really, time management is one of the biggest things you learn very quickly stepping into this sort of role, or sort of roles rather. You're very much, everyone wants a piece of your time, whether that's customers, internal staff, people who report to you, or people who you report to. It's a lot of juggling, but it's enjoyable at the same time. So obviously, safety aspects. Part of our role running a branch, you're responsible for estimating, sales, operational delivery, administration, and the finance side of things. So if I could pick out just a couple of fundamental areas, something like safety. Throughout my travels throughout the metro area of either estimating, meeting customers, you'll see the management team drop in on jobs. We call it a work site review. That enables us to do is check on quality, safety, and environmental factors of the project. And a big piece of that is to keep our people safe. So personally, myself, going out onto a project, I may see something others don't. So that's a crucial part of the business, and making sure we're getting a quality job done for our customers, doing it safely, keeping it on budget. All those sorts of things is what we check on a daily basis. I'd say no. Every day's different. There's there's a lot of similarities, but especially painting, every job we do is different. So I certainly don't expect every day to be the same. It's part of why I love the job. It's why a lot of people love the role and the business. No 2 days are ever the same. It keeps you on your toes and keeps you not complacent. So. Locally, we started working with a not-for-profit organisation called the Blue Tree Project, and some people may be familiar, some may not. It's a very fast-growing organisation. So a young lady by the name of Kendall White started a not-for-profit organisation called the Blue Tree Project. What I identified at the time, I met up with Kendall and said, this is something that I'm passionate about personally. It fits with the Higgins business around painting blue trees. The blue trees are used as symbolism for creating a safe space that it's okay not to be okay. And I think, myself being a tradesman, being in that environment of where, every day you're seeing people where, how are you, mate? Yeah, well, and just identifying that, sometimes, creating a safe space for your team is so crucial to what we do in all sorts of different business aspects. So supporting the Blue Tree Project, we've assisted in the delivery of some school murals. Higgins, a business, is very passionate around the educational space, and what better position to be in than painting blue trees across a national network, which, we're a national painting company. What better way to support a not-for-profit than to do what we do best, and it upholds the Higgins values. Well, it depends how you're entering the industry. Are you entering as an apprentice, a pre-apprenticeship? That's probably first and foremost what I'd encourage people to do. The learnings out of an apprenticeship are second to none, and really opens some gateways for entering into some extracurricular stuff around painting, first and foremost. And as you said at the start of this interview, Ralph, being a qualified painter is becoming more prevalent than not. So it's quite crucial if you want to make a career out of being a painter. It's get the qualifications first and foremost. The second part is align yourself with a business that upholds your values. For myself, it's safety. I certainly want to go home with all my fingers and toes. So if you want to be a part of a business, make sure they look up.